Okay, as far as IELTS reading is concerned, first thing you need to remember, no extra time will be given to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. And one of my students, she forgot this fact. She completed all her test and she was thinking like listening, they will give 10 minutes. And by the time in examiner, there is exam superintendent. By the time exam superintendent announced candidates stop writing, that is the end of your reading test. She picked up the answer sheet and she started writing. Okay, now 10 minutes to do that. And immediately the invigilator came and he snatched the answer sheet and the question booklet and she said, I couldn't transfer the answer. They said, okay ma'am, calm down, no problem, we'll see to it. They will never say that you're not allowed. Say, okay ma'am, no problem, calm down, all right, okay, we'll manage it. They picked up this and that, and at the end she got 1 bench score, because in IELTS there is no 0. Okay, otherwise they would have given 0. So you got to be extra careful. You have to transfer the answers to the answer sheet, because examiner will only get the answer sheet. Now, how to start your reading? Very simple. When you start, first of all, read the title of the passage. Whatever the title is, there is the passage, and passage has a title, and title will tell you what is going to come ahead in the passage. And as you read the title, immediately make up your mind that I'm going to read about giraffe in Africa, their life and all that. Or as you read the topic, say, okay, this passage is about robotics. So if you know anything about robotics already, you can just recall all those memories and make up your mind, think about robots, imagine robots. This is how you will penetrate deeper into the topic. Sometimes students can't pay attention. They are reading about robots, but they are thinking about chicken curry, burger, pizza, and all that, okay? So this is very important. So that is why whatever you read, you got to imagine that. When you imagine that, you will pay more attention, you will be focused and all that. Okay, now after reading the passage, in every section, in reading there are 3 sections, academic or general training. These tips are for all, okay? There are 3 sections. In each section, there are 13 questions. 2 sections contain 13 questions and 1 section contains 14 questions. And it can be any section, 1, 2, 3, 2 sections with 13 questions and 1 section with 14 questions. Now, first you need to take a look at the questions and you need to identify type A questions. Type A questions are the questions where questions and the passage, they are in order. Like for example, sentence completion, fill in the blanks. Any type of fill in the blanks, questions and the passage, they are in order. True, false not given, yes, no not given, multiple choice questions and passage, they are in order. Then we've got matching. In matching, questions and the passage, they are not in order, but the options they give, these options and the passage, they are in order. Now, the second type is type B questions, where questions and answers are not in order. This is basically list of headings and which paragraph contains the following information. So these are 2 questions where questions and answers are not in order. Always try to start with type A first, because for type A, once you find one answer, read on, you will find the next answer. Then read on, you will find the next answer. That is systematic. And for type B, you have to scan all the passage. So that is why if you answer type A first, when you answer type B, you will be familiar with the passage already, so type B will become easier for you. But if you start with type B, it will consume all your time, it will drain all your energies, and at the end you'll be puzzled. Where is the answer? I'm not finding the answer, because scanning answer in whole passage, and the passage contains 700 to 900 words, that takes time. So that is why, and you know the ratio is very good. Mainly and mostly we have type A questions, and then there are 3 to 4 type B questions. Then part 2, mainly type A questions, 3 to 4 type B questions. So you should try with type A questions first and type B questions last, because type B questions need some understanding of the passage. By doing type A, you will have good understanding, okay? So you can start, and as you complete your one passage, you should write your answers on the answer sheet and put the answer sheet aside. It's not that you say, okay, I'll do it at the end. At the end, you are so much puzzled, mentally exhausted. Even you sometimes forget your name. Okay, say, what's my name, huh? All right. So I'm just joking. But anyways, you're mentally exhausted in reading. Reading is really, test of your nerves as well. Okay, so when you do part 2, again in part 2, and never follow the sequence of the questions. For example, part 1, questions 1 to 4, which paragraph contains the following information? Don't do it, don't touch it. Questions 5 to 9, true, false, not given. Questions 9 to 13, sentence completion. Start from 9 to 13 or start from the other one. Okay, so don't follow the sequence that they give you. You need to come up with your own sequence, that I will do type A, and in type A the easiest question for you. For example, if they've given true, false, not given and sentence completion, so you will start with sentence completion. Yeah, because you don't like true, false, not given, that's why. Okay, so you can say, okay, if I'm good at true, false, not given, I will start with it and then I'll do the next one. Okay, so like this, move on. And by the way, there will be some announcements, some time checks, and there will be clock in front of you. So you need to make sure that you are following the time. Sometimes they start the test at 0:00. Reading test starts at 0:00. If they start it at 0:00, it's very easy for you to see the time, because these watches are not allowed. Whether it is analog or smartwatch, no devices are allowed. If by mistake you take this watch in exam, even in your pocket, your test will be cancelled and you will be banned. You are responsible for that. When you fill in your IELTS form, you sign something and you don't read it. Later on they tell you signed it already. Okay, so you got to be careful. No gadgets. One of my Indian students, he had mobile in his pocket and he didn't use it. It was powered off, and in writing task, when last 10 minutes were left, invigilator noticed something in his pocket and he said, excuse me, show me what is in your pocket. And he took out the mobile and they took him there, cancelled his test, banned him for 2 years. So it is your responsibility. They will not search you. Okay, do you have any mobile, do you have any gadget and all? It's your responsibility. Okay, so coming back to the topic, as I was telling you, transferring the answer, 0:00. 0:00 means they start reading at 1:00. Now you see, okay, 1:10, 1:15, 1:20, 1:30, that's easier for you. But if they start at 1:15, then it becomes a little difficult sometimes. So I suggest these IELTS people that they should have timer. In reading test, they should have timer. And I think it should be countdown timer.
Anti-clock.
Yeah, anti-clock. Like, it starts from 60, now 40 minutes left, now 38 minutes left. So if they have that one, it can be easier for students. Sometimes students cannot, and they do announcement, like after 30 minutes one announcement, then after last 10 minutes one announcement, 5 minutes, and then test is over. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like they do in the flights. Exactly, this is the last announcement, passenger this and that. Okay, part 2, for example, you've done one type of questions. Immediately answer sheet is going to be on the table. They give you like this big table, and sometimes the table moves. Adjust that as well. One of my students, he had this issues, and thank goodness he was wearing sandals, slippers. So he put his slipper under one leg of the table, and then the table was balanced. And he did all his tests. Yeah, sometimes the table was moving. So he said it was very uncomfortable. Then I put my slipper there and it was balanced. So my slipper remained there and I did my test without my slipper. So be careful, check the chair. In Pakistan, sometimes they give the chairs that, you can be tired if you're sitting like this. So you want to go back. So the chair was like, it took you so much back. You cannot write while doing it. And you have to be like this. So check the chair, check the table, because you got to spend 3 hours with that. Okay. Now, for reading part 2, as you've done 5 questions, write the answers down. As you've done the next 5 questions, write the answers down, and make sure you write the answers here. And when you start part 3, when you reach part 3, most of the students hardly reach part 3. Yeah, I'm not trying to scare you in academic reading, not in general training. General training reading is okay, so you guys should be happy. In academic reading, students who do not practice, when they reach part 3, they have only 10 minutes. Sometimes maximum 12 to 13 minutes. Otherwise, according to IELTS experts, you have to spend 15 minutes on task 1, because it's easier, passage 1, 20 minutes on passage 2, and the remaining time, which is around 25 minutes, on passage 3, because passage 3 is more complicated, right? but you can see your own time division and all that. So when you're doing part 3, again in part 3, most importantly, just do the questions first which are type A, because in part 3 there can be 4 to 6 type B questions. So you should start, and type A questions are given at the end, like questions 35 to 40, they are type A, and other type B. So students start with type B and already they are puzzled, and then they're just fluking tukka, and then they complete it and all that. So start with type A and do type A very carefully, because you cannot afford to make mistakes over there, right? And then you can come back to type A questions, because in type A questions you may guess as well sometimes, right? Okay, now remember one thing, in order to get a decent bench score, for you guys decent bench score is 7 in reading if you're looking for 8777 band. So decent band score is 7 band. For 7 band in general training reading, you need 34 correct answers. So if you are aiming 36 37 correct answers while practicing, then in actual exam you will get 34 correct answers. But if you're getting 27 28 answers and you are expecting a miracle in IELTS exam, in real exam there'll be a princess coming with all the answers and all that, nothing is gonna happen like that, okay? So you need to make sure that 34 answers are correct. Marking criteria is different for academic and general training. For academic, 30 correct answers will give you 7 band. Now let me tell you how to get 7 band in general training reading. Part 1 and part 2, they are the easiest parts. Why? Because there are 2 short passages. 2 passages in part 1, 1 page only, very short passage, and 2 passages